Welcome to the About Podcast. My name is Nick Crook. I'm a soul singer-songwriter here in San Diego by way of Burleson, Texas. Shout out to Texas.
Whole state.
The whole state. No, yeah.
Well, hello, Nick.
Hello.
And it was weird to say hi when you've been at our house for like an hour rehearsing.
I like it. I like being re-welcomed.
But
constantly.
Yeah, every 5 minutes I'm hi, Nicholas.
Yeah. Can I remove this from the stand?
You can.
You sure can.
He's referring to
the mic itself.
Penis.
Oh.
To my penis stand.
There you go.
The kickstand.
Please don't kick there.
don't kick near there. Yeah, man. Go ahead.
So here we are with Nicholas Crook. That's your full name. Nicholas Carlton Crook.
Nicholas Carlton.
Just the Carl, but yeah, we can. I like to add the Carlton for effect. Why not?
Yeah.
Coral. Sorry,
not
Nicholas
that
Coral.
Carl, no.
That Coral.
Coral Crook.
So you're at our house right now because you're here rehearsing for a show, your first show of the tour. Which is big news, but we had you here, so we were like, we might as well turn the mics on and start talking to you, I guess.
I like it.
Yeah.
Going on my first tour. I will be hitting the road, playing the first show the 29th of January at Rogue Bar in Scottsdale, Arizona. We'll be playing with Corby Canada and Kyle Phelan, and it's going to be a shit-kicking good time. And I'll be hitting the road for just under a month, going to Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, San Francisco, LA, and back to San Diego.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah.
And this is in promotion of your album that just came out, which
it's true.
The release show we were at, Davey and Josh and I were at, and it was amazing.
Awesome
Thank
show.
you.
But
I appreciate
tell us about the album, like all the things. Give us all the things.
Well, what do you want to know? I can tell you it's 10
music,
songs.
Right? It's a music album.
It's
okay,
music.
Good. Let's start there.
10 songs. It's my first fully produced deal. I've made EPs in the past. I think I made my first EP when I was 16, and then I've made a few since then. It's kind of my first real deal works released, so it's called Sunday Drive.
Picture the two of us on an open road. Johnny's got a brand new single on the radio. Love on the weekend and the Sunday drive. Funny what can make you feel happy, make you feel alive. Yeah, stopping for gas, thinking back where we've been, turning to ask you if you know where we're going. Look at you smiling, saying near or far, don't matter to me. And what's the fun in knowing?
And it's out there on Spotify and iTunes and pretty much everywhere.
Why Sunday Drive?
It's a lyric from the first song.
I didn't make it that far into the album.
Most don't. It's about
the cover was really cool.
Yeah, it's about like a minute 15 seconds into the whole album, so I can see how it could be quite the endeavor. So yeah, and honestly, it's funny the whole process of making the album, because like I said, I've made things before, but you learn a little bit every time you record. And it never fails that one of the hardest things about making an album or EP or whatever is figuring out the cover and the name of it, because nothing seems good. It all seems stupid. Anything you name it will just seem dumb, at least in my experience. And so, it really took me a while to settle and, figure out what I wanted to do. And, I've always kind of liked the idea of having, either the dog is dropping the toy on my lap to play.
She has to be
no dog.
She has to be a part of every single podcast in some way. She's very selfish.
I love Trillian. Shout out to Trillian.
You thanked her on the album, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like right next to all the band member credits is like also Trillian just because. Yeah. So. I always like the idea of having your album title or your project title separate, like not just the name of one of the songs. Mm-hmm. And so I was having trouble kind of thinking of something completely separate. So I kind of went for the next best thing in my mind, which is to take a lyric from the song and do that. And I think it kind of fits the vibe of the album. It's kind of, I don't know.
It also tells a listener who may never have heard your music before what to do while listening to your album. Yeah. Just take a Sunday drive and pop the album in.
That's why our next album's called Go Fuck Yourself.
Yeah.
Our next album should be called Buy Me.
Give us money.
Yeah. Please help.
Yeah. It is really cool. And I would say it has one of those qualities I really like about a record, because I'm a record listener to this day. I listen to whole albums. The album's really balanced. It doesn't
Thank you.
It doesn't have one note, which is really nice. You're listening through, and you can tell these songs are thoughtfully put together, and it's not just this happens to be 10 tunes I've written recently. Yeah.
I'll take the side road and pick up a new condition. You'll never mind if my habit for self-reflecting. No.
I like it. I think kind of on that same note, by far my biggest influence is in the Beatles, and so I don't know. Sometimes when you're doing an album like that, like how Sunday Drive kind of happened, where some of the songs, I mean, it all fits together, but some sound pretty different from each other. It goes in a lot of different ways, and so it can be easy to worry about, am I doing too many different things here? You know what I mean? But then whenever I listened to it all back, when it was all done, I was like, oh, it kind of makes sense, and I kind of like that it is so different. Like you said, it's kind of a Sunday drive.
Totally.
We do that funny voice we never do in public. I get the best of me, and here you are to take me from it all.
It kind of the first time I heard this idea, it applied to guitar, but it really applies to records too, is that, so, it's, you're trying to imitate this or that guitar player as you're learning, and the people worry about not sounding enough like themselves, sounding like someone. Well, you're never gonna sound like that guy. You can't help but sound like yourself. I think if you, by extrapolation, when you make a record, if you think, man, my songs are too different, but they're all you, they sound way more different and less unified probably to the writer than they do when you think about there's a theme going on in your life when you're writing them.
Exactly.
You have a certain approach to music. It's gonna be unified. Yeah.
That was it. It's interesting to say that too, because my biggest thing with this album was I want this to be a timestamp, an audio timestamp of where I am in life, everything, ups, downs. And even though some of the songs were written, I made the album through 2017. God, I can't. Sorry, I was thinking. I almost said 2016. Because when we had our first talk about the album, me and the producer Mason Larson in 2016 in December. But anyways, I wanted it to be a timestamp, and even though some of those songs were written a couple years prior, a good amount of them were pretty relatively, recent to the project, and some of them written for the project, and it even with the album cover and everything, I knew, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a picture of me smoking, and I knew that there would be people in my life that would not be so down with that.
Marijuana cigarette.
Yeah.
He's smoking that wacky weed.
Right. And it's just funny to me because, I had people really kind of oh, what is so-and-so going to think, relatives of mine and stuff. And what it came down to is I hope that they still love me, and I hope they still realize I'm the exact same person I've always been.
Right.
It's just I haven't always been forefront out of respect or out of whatever. So, but I didn't make this album based on what someone's like mom might think, or like what their 5-year-old might think, or something like that. It's like and also on the insert of the album, on the inside of it, there's a picture of me on my porch drinking a beer, and these are all things that were very literal to my life. What was going on? I was sitting on that porch drinking a beer and sitting there, smoking, writing these songs and all, and it's in my house. All the pictures are in my house. There's a picture of my dog on it. It's like completely me, as real as possible, take it or leave it. And I don't know. The way I looked at it was just, I'm going to be as me as possible, and, take it or leave it, like I said.
It is. It's interesting when you run into that as a musician, because a lot of what you do is just an expression of who you are. And then when it gets to the point where people are like, well, that's going to offend this person, or that means your uncle's not going to listen to this album because you're smoking weed on it. Well, then how far do you go with that? Do you then start writing songs for other people? Do you start, only doing shows at venues that only these people like? And
totally.
We have run into this a little bit, and we've had to make decisions. But like our next tour is called the Fake News Tour, and that's going to alienate some people. But at some point you got to do that. You
got to do you.
Kind of who we are. We're silly. We make fun of. It's so you have to make a choice and do it tastefully, which is kind of what you're doing. You're just like, this is who I am. This is what I was doing when I was writing these songs. Right. It's not like I'm hiding who I am. Like I have a beer every once in a while. I smoke weed.
Pretty often,
I live in California.
That's what I was
going to
say. It's like I'm doing it in a state where it's recreationally legal.
Yeah.
And yet there's still like this fucking like weird taboo thing about it. Whereas which one is the one that is like the number 2 killer in the country, and which one hasn't killed anybody ever? You know what I mean? And what I was getting to with like the sitting on the beer, sitting on my beer, drinking my porch. when I was talking about that was, I wonder how many people are going to look at this and chastise me and ostracize me, whatever, for smoking a joint. Yeah, how many people are going to say anything about me drinking a beer? I bet it's going to be way off. I bet barely anyone's going to say that. And yet one is miles more harmful.
Yeah,
kills people all the time. And I don't know. Like I said, I can't live my life in my career based off of like what some distant relative might think or whatever. And kind of the point people were making was, well, it's too early out of the gate for you to be alienating people.
I was just going to say, it's great that it is this early and you are taking a stance of who you are. Like, this is who I am. I'm not going to try and just so that I can get 1 or 2 more fans here and there, not put me doing something that I do,
Right. And they were like, oh, you don't have to like advertise it. And it's like, yeah, I don't have to, but you know what? The picture is cool. And I was like, I think it's fun. And the way it's like a very fatalist kind of retaliation to it all. They're like, oh, I'm just so worried that, and it's not going to work out. I'm like, listen, if this is the death knell to my career, I probably wasn't in a good start.
Also, listen to the music, maybe. Before
it's like, there's songs on this album.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
if you can get past the cover. We sort of, a little bit, my mom said that kind of the same thing about this podcast. She said, she loves the podcast. She and my dad both really enjoy it. But she very, very correctly told me, like, because we say fuck and talk about occasionally politics that may not agree with some of my family members, that there's probably aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff that wouldn't be into it. And that's true. But in the end, like, so like it's not you know what I mean, like that's fine. I mean there are aunts and uncles and cousins that with family that happens anyway. There are things you do or don't talk about or share with family, but you're still family. And you still, I don't need them to like my podcast or my album cover or my this or that. Like they're not in my life in that capacity.
Right.
So, the family argument for me right away doesn't matter because your family's not your fans. Some of them happen to be by coincidence, but your family's not where you get your fans. Your fans are your fans.
You also, there are also people in my family who don't listen to the music we make because they just don't like that kind of music.
That kind of music. That's just how it goes.
Which is more offensive. Neither of them are offensive. It just is what it is. Like, don't listen to the music if you don't like it. Don't listen to the podcast if you don't like the things we're saying. That's fine. That's totally up to you. It's not, don't then say that I have to change what I say on the podcast or the kind of music that I make.
And at the same time, as the artist, you do just have to accept, like, oh, that may be true. Mm-hmm. Like that may be true. That may be. But then, what are you doing it for? If you wanted to do what everyone else wants you to do, just go get a job that pays better. That's not art.
That's the way I thought of it exactly. Like, I mean, they're not wrong. Yeah, it is alienating slightly to some people, but like, it all comes down to kind of like you said. So yeah, like, I mean, there, there's a lot of things I do or say that a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with, and I don't think I do it in a way that's super in your face or disrespectful. I mean, I guess it could be argued, oh, you put on your album cover, it's in your face, but I don't know. I just don't know many people who like look at album cover and then they're like, I can't fucking listen to this.
A lot of the media that I consume and personalities that I'm actually a really big fan of, they would alienate me by being inauthentic.
Yeah.
Right. That's
like if I was to see somebody that I really respected that was kind of punk rock, and then all of a sudden they release an album that's clean cut and only love songs and no foul language, I'd be like, dude, all right, what did your manager do to
Yeah. I totally get that. And even, on another side of this whole thing too, besides all this part of it, is like, I kind of think like this is a conversation that needs to be had. It's like, like I said, how many states now in the United States have legalized recreationally marijuana, and then way more than that medically?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I mean, and yet there's still this weird taboo, especially in places like where I'm from in Texas and all this. And where all these people are smoking cigarettes and drinking and chewing dip and all, I smoke a joint. By far, I mean, it's so far in the opposite way that people use it, like, except for medicine.
Right. Yeah.
And yet I'm like some sort of demonized person or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, like I'm some sort of terrible, like, heretic, or I don't know what it is. So, it just, to me, along with, saying so, be who I am, whatever, it's like, kind of goes back to what I said about, versus drinking and all. It's like, this is going to become much more socially acceptable. In like 5 years, this is going to be a conversation that will probably be way less relevant.
Oh, yeah.
Way less relevant.
It'll
I'm already seeing weed billboards around town and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it needs to be that way. People need to get over it.
Yeah.
This is what it kind of comes down to. And, sorry, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, and people can listen or not listen. It's totally their right to do whatever. But like I said, it's like, their songs on the albums, maybe judge based on that.
The music.
On the content of what
and they're
you're
great,
creating.
They're great songs. They really are. They're great songs. They're great to listen to. They're right up our alley too. I mean,
Thank you.
We love, it's at its heart, it's soul music, and that's just, it's really.
I just had a thought. So on the last podcast, we were talking to a couple of the members of Rose's Cantina, and the subject came up of how San Diego has like some musical cliques. And I was just thinking that you are one of those people that kind of transcends that. You have how long have you lived here?
A little over 4 years.
Okay, and you have been doing music since long before that, since you were, in high school and stuff. Mm-hmm. But you're one of those people who you're friends with everybody. You're authentic about it. You kind of bridge the gap. And there are a lot of people like that, but it seems like it's more comfortable to just kind of stay in like, well, these are the people that go to this one place. These are the people that play this kind of music. This is these are the people that work with Josh Jose, and these are the people that work with Gigtown, and these are, what I mean? But you seem, and this is something to strive for, absolutely. That
totally.
kind of transcends that.
That's really nice.
Well, it helps to see that as another musician and to be somebody who wants to, who tries to be that way as well. But it's hard because there's so many musicians and so many different cliques that you just kind of have this easy way of just being like, whatever, man, you're a musician, I'm a musician, let's all be musicians together. And that's really cool. Rose's Cantina was we were talking about that last week, and
that's really cool.
They're very similar as well, but it's cool to be a part of the San Diego music scene and like see that in other people and be like, yes,
it's special too. It's special too because it does foster that sense that like I think that when people sort of cloister themselves. I don't know if I can use that as a verb, but I did. It's almost, in some cases, maybe not all, but in some cases, there's a little bit of like a protective layer to that. There's a little bit of like I don't want to know what's out there. Like I know some musicians, have known some musicians who do that, who won't go support, won't go see other things because they don't want to know. And so what's cool about that is it places the community above any sense of ego you need to protect. Right. And that's the point, because we're all like, as artists, we all of course have things that we would like to think about ourselves in terms of what we're good at or what we're not. But at the heart of it, like the best part to me of being an artist is the community of artists and the things that you learn by being around them. And
sorry.
So I was just saying it was solidified at your CD release, because there are people from every quote unquote clique of music in San Diego.
Cool. Yeah, that was really
cool. And I was like,
this
is what it's about. This is cool that Nick has brought these people together. And it's just like, some of them just needed an excuse to do it. You know, like it's hard when you're a musician and you're playing all the time and trying to go out and see shows, but you can't because you're playing as well. And it was cool to see that. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. I love San Diego's music community. I've always said, San Diego, especially in the music scene, it's big enough to be a big city, but small enough to feel like a community. Mm-hmm. And that happens all the time. It's so cool, like going out and just like I run into people all the time that I know. Other musicians are playing or just walking around town or at the same bars that I go to, whatever. And one of my favorite things, like you said, is the community aspect. I was thinking about it in the shower before I came over here, just some of the people I've met who all of y'all, like, I wouldn't have met y'all without music. Right. And, like, I was just thinking about how it's interesting how, like, not just in music, but in life, everyone kind of, like, the way that people find friends is work and things like that. And so I was just thinking about how funny it is, but it's so cool, like, the people that you meet when you're a musician, or even people I know that are just fans that just go to everyone's show. Yeah. Like, I know a few people like that who, like, sing a little or play a little, but mainly they just support. Yeah. And, like, that is so cool to me. And so it is, and, like, meeting you guys, like, it's funny how even this project, we were friends before, but it kind of really brought us together. Like, oh, you left the street, and now we all just hang out. And totally. Just things like that, like, the community is great. I love it in San Diego. And I know what you mean, like, as far as kind of the cliquey thing. Whenever I first moved out here, I used to hang out at Lestat's all the time, all the time. I mean, play there every week and play a billion shows there. And I had, a little friend group there with Ray Lee and Ray Lee Nicole and all these other local singers and stuff. And it's funny because now none of us really go that anymore, and we've all kind of gone off in our own direction. I mean, a couple of people got married to each other. Like, it's weird.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
What two musicians get married to each other?
Exactly, yeah. So, I don't know, like, it's been interesting. But, yeah, I never really, like, noticed the clickiness thing, I guess, as much, like, but except for when I think about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can see it, but not you can see wrapped up in it.
That's totally, everyone kind of has, like, their spots that they hang out and all, and whatnot. But, yeah, it was cool at that show. Like, I've never had that many people come out to a show specifically for me. Like, I've played big audiences, but, it's at street fairs and things like that. But, so that was one. And then, like, whenever I came out on stage, everyone like moved right up to the stage, and I could see everyone. I was like, a couple times through the show, like, I was trying to think what to say. I couldn't think of anything. It's just like, holy shit, this is fucking weird, man, in a great way. Lasts forever. Close the door and let me in. Second-hand lover, I am a second-hand man. You can have it or leave it, but make a move while you can, baby. Second-hand lover, I bet you think that I am. Well, you can leave me on cloud 9, or I could take you to cloud 10. Whoa, yeah. Yeah, there are so many people just like, people I've known for years, and other musicians of all different kinds. And, like you said, there's some Gig Town people. There's Josh Jose at Acoustic Spot. And it's something about that, too, is, I don't know, I feel like in the scene there's kind of like, and maybe this isn't something to be spoken about, but there's like this like rivalry or whatever, because they're two people in the same business, and there's been this like back and forth thing, but that is one thing I'm really proud of, is the fact that I've been able to work with both ends of that. And I know a few people have, you know, like you guys and a few other people, and you know, it's no problem because you know, we're in the end we're all in this together.
Totally.
We're all trying to make a great community. And I've seen Tim Felton from Surefire, who opened the show, Surefire Soul Ensemble. He was talking about this on Facebook and talking about how, you know, San Diego has some great, you know, original music, and a lot of it starts to fall by the wayside because, you know, places want these like tribute bands and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with like tribute bands and tribute nights and all, but it kind of sucks whenever it starts to take the forefront over original stuff. Yeah. And you know, I absolutely love this scene, and I think it's just the coolest thing.
It really is.
It's kind of like when we went to go see Theo Katzman and Joey Dosick at the Casbah on my birthday last year. And like I was walking around in it, and there's like
musicians everywhere.
There's like Jesse Barrera over here, and there's all these other people over here that I know, and Tolan Shaw. And
that's the category of people. It's either Jesse and or everyone else.
Well, I just mean in the sense like people that I don't tend to see around as much, even though they're working and doing their own thing, because he's producing all the time, so he's kind of like doing his thing, and then there's plenty of other performers like y'all were there, and Tolan Shaw, and like everybody was there, and it was weird, and everyone's like buying me drinks, and I was so fucking shit house by the end of it. But
what happens when you have a birthday on a Monday night at a Joey Dosick show?
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
Everyone's there, and they're buying
I remember
you drinks.
talking to Theo after, I was like, just warning you that I'm kind of drunk. It's my birthday. And he's like, okay. He was real nice about it. But yeah, so just getting back on topic though, like the community is excellent, and you know, I understand how the cliques come about, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing, you know.
Sure.
In the end, I like seeing how everyone can come together and be all.
Because, like you were saying, ultimately, it is about the people like Josh and Gigtown and people who book original music. They're all just kind of trying to help keep original music supported in San Diego. So the people who can see past the rivalries and you're booking with them, you're booking. If you can look past that and just realize that you know, they're all just trying to help out musicians. That's really what helps you see past it all.
And two thoughts I have is like, I mean, there's nothing wrong. Everyone's got their lunch table, but we're all like eating in the same cafeteria. As we can see that. And then also just like as a comical, like my flip kind of asshole way of saying is like, I'm really grateful for Gigtown and for Acoustic Spot, but like in the end, like musicians want a fucking gig. Like
it's like I need money.
You know, I'm loyal to the gig and the integrity of the performance and the client, and if it's this agency or that agency or whatever, like that makes much less difference to me as long as no one's I don't have like a moral objection with the way that the company is run. Like like we want to play music. And that's kind of like at the beginning and end of all, and that's the cafeteria we're all in.
Absolutely. You know, if you are at least treating, you know, your musicians right, and you're paying everyone on time, and you're paying them fairly, you're not trying to scam anybody out of anything, whatever, it's like, you know, what y'all do as a business isn't really my business.
Exactly.
I'm there to play. I'm there to make sure that, you know, the people booking me and the clients I'm playing for and everything, everyone's happy and that I do a good job. And then beyond that, it's like, you know, as long as they're not like fucking over other musicians. Because I'm not going to be a part of that. But you know, if everyone's, you know, musician wise getting treated fair, then that's, you know, like you said, I'm loyal. I'm loyal to wherever I can keep my lights on. You know?
Exactly. And Pete Pudge.
I'm loyal to my dog. So. This new album I have out, Sunday Drive, can be found everywhere online, iTunes, and all those streaming services. Apple Music very, very soon. Like probably by the time you hear this, it'll be there. So check. And I'm going on tour. Like I said, I'll be going kind of on the west side. I don't want to say West Coast because I'm kind of inland, but you know, West Coast regional thing, and so be on the lookout for that. And if you want to find me, you can find me at Nick Crook Music. Crook like a person that steals things, all one word. That's my handle on all of the things, Twitter, Instagram, and all that, and nicholascrook.com.
Or nicksdickpics.edu.
Nick's Dick's Pics.
It's run by Josh.
Yeah, I started that for you.
I like that it's a .edu.
Yeah, it is educational.
educational thing.
Oh, I didn't make it that far into the album.